Welcome to Talk Across America. I'm Doug Miles, and we're here in beautiful Sarasota, Florida. And joining us now on our book talk segment, great to welcome him, has written a really great thriller, as he has had a few in the past that have been great bestsellers. This one is called All Out War, features his character Eric Steele, and we're joined today by Sean Parnell on the telephone. I believe he's up in Pittsburgh today, and Sean, good to talk with you. How are you?
It is great to be here. I really appreciate you making some time for me today. Thank you.
Great. I always love talking to your ilk who do write these great thrilling books, kind of based on what's been going on in the world. And you lived a lot of this, I guess, for people that aren't aware. I mean, you served over in Afghanistan, so you kind of know what you're talking about when it comes to writing these kind of global thrillers and the war on terror and all that. So based on what you've been through, right? A lot of these books.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, almost all of my experience in the military informs all aspects of the writing process of these books, to include my main character. You know, Eric Steele is the main character of these books. He's been in 2 books now, but he was written in the image of my troops. You know, I was a young 24-year-old lieutenant in combat in Afghanistan, witnessing one heroic action from my soldiers after the next. You know, and these were young kids that were just the most inspirational kids you've ever seen in your life. And it was their heroic acts that inspired me to write Eric Steele. You know, selflessness, loyalty, integrity, duty, honor, country. These are things that Eric Steele embodies as a character, and I really drew from my experience in Afghanistan, specifically my men. You know, for developing that character.
Well, while you're there, obviously you're thinking about 100 other things, but you know, when you're doing your service over there, do you kind of have in the back of your mind, you know, God willing, we all get through this okay, but this will make a great book someday? Do you think that way, or do you just have to kind of look back on it later on?
No, that's exactly how I thought. In fact, there was a time where I was reading one of Brad Thor's book. Lines of Lucerne on Combat Outpost Margah. My unit built the very first combat outpost in Afghanistan, and I'm thinking, you know, if somehow I make it out of this alive, you know, I'm going to do everything I can to accomplish my dream. I'm going to put my nose to the grindstone, and I'm going to write a fiction book. So I've always dreamed of writing a fiction book. So yeah, there was a moment in Afghanistan where I thought, you know, if I make it out of here, I'm going to do everything I can to earn it. You know, earn it every day, wake up every day, and live life to the fullest.
And this, we'll get to the book in a second, but I did want to mention, from the notes I got, I didn't realize it, and it's a great thing you've done. You created the American Warrior Initiative, which helps veterans. So you've taken that back here, and that's great work.
Yeah, thank you. You know, I appreciate it. It's not, you know, coming home from war is not easy, and war changes you in some deep, fundamental way. And when, you know, you come home, sometimes your family members and your friends don't understand that change. And you can feel as a veteran like the people that you've known your whole life and loved your whole life don't know you anymore. Right. And so, you know, I threw myself into co-founding the American Warrior Initiative to try to help smooth that transition for our veterans. And ultimately it helps me, too, because it allows me to continue to stay in the fight and serve something greater than myself.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Well, let's talk about the book. We have limited time today. Again, you mentioned Eric Steele, the main character. For those not aware, you gave a little bit of a rundown on him. He gets, he's an alpha agent, right? He gets called by the president to do these great missions, and something happens, right? Somebody breaks into his house. I won't give away too much, but you kind of take it from there. I know there's a hidden bomb somewhere in the Middle East, so you tell us what you can.
Yeah, I will. So Eric Steele is still reeling and injured from his first mission in the first book. And this book starts out with him in the rigorous recertification process. He passes that process, and the first thing he does is pick up the phone and call his mom. He's having dinner with his mom at his house. And so he goes and picks up wine. He goes back to his house. He sits down with his mom. They're cooking up some steaks, and boom, his house gets attacked. His mom gets critically injured, left for dead. His house gets burned to the ground, and Eric Steele is left unconscious on the objective. He wakes up and wonders what happened, who attacked him, why they attacked him, why did they hit him at his house, and why was his mom a part of the attack? Why did they target his own mother? And so in order to get answers to those questions, Eric Steele goes off script and goes out on a mission for revenge to find these assailants. And as he's hunting them down, he stumbles upon a much larger global conspiracy, the likes of which this world has never seen, and most of the leaders of the free world have targets on their back. And Eric Steele is called upon to save their lives and the free world.
Great premise, and you have that suspense, obviously, right? There's the hidden bomb, right, in the Middle East. That could just, is that, they have that right?
Yeah, there's a bomb hidden somewhere.
Somewhere.
And
okay.
so Eric Steele, not only does he have to track down the most lethal Chechen terrorist in the world, and this is the guy who is responsible for the attack on his home. He's got to find this bomb that's planted somewhere and stop it before it explodes, killing some of the world's most prominent leaders.
Yeah, that's a great way to set up a story like that. Now, this character you've written in 2 previous books, I like to ask novelists this, has the character kind of changed from book to book, and has it gone maybe in a different direction than you thought as you started writing it?
Yeah, characters have a say in their own destinies, and, Eric Steele starts as somebody who's a true believer, He believes in the American dream, and he wants to save people on the battlefield, even if they're not a part of his mission parameters. But as he gets more experience and as he spends more time in the fight, he realizes that he can't save everybody. That sometimes you're thrown into impossible situations that don't have where there's not a clear-cut victory. And so I think it's fun when you start with a character who's really good, you can slowly erode that and chip away at that goodness and make him more jaded. And to where you put him in a situation where maybe he has a fall from grace, and in order to earn back his soul, so to speak, he really does have to earn it, And so, my goal with creating this character is to allow the reader to go on a wild ride with Eric Steele. So he started out as good, and you will see a change in his character through these novels, for sure.
How about dialogue? Obviously, we talked before how you've lived a lot of this. I guess sort of in the back of your mind while you were going through these terrorizing things in real life. I guess you kind of remember what people were saying. Did you use some of that dialogue in your books?
Yeah, and I think I absolutely did, especially with call signs and things like that. My goal when I wrote these books, especially when I'm writing these combat scenes and these large sweeping action scenes, I want them to be as authentic as possible. I know what it's like to be in combat. I know what it's like to have a bullet cracked by my head, but I want to take all Americans who have never had that experience. I want to bring them there too. Yeah. And so I want the communication to be authentic, and I want the heat, the fire, and the smoke of combat on every page.
Yeah, that's great. Adds that realism, but again, the book is also for entertainment, and you've done that so well with the previous books. I'm sure this one will do as well. This one is called All Out War. It's an Eric Steele story, and we've been talking with Sean Parnell today. And Sean, give out your website once again, or where people can reach you and get the book.
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Sean Parnell USA. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Official Sean Parnell. And my website is officialseanparnell.co.
Great. Sean, pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again. I'm sure you have another book in the works, so we'll talk to you at that time. But thanks for being with us today.
Yep. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today on Talk Across America. Please visit our website at dougmilesmedia.com for more great interviews and content. And if you're interested in any of the books we talk about on the program, please click the Amazon link on our website. It helps support the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you again real soon here from beautiful Sarasota, Florida.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids. right here at home in the United States of America.